That went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit.
Will there ever be an end to the claims Katt Williams made about the big Hollywood names on the Club Shay Shay podcast? Hell no. Things are about to get really messy, as one of Steve Harvey's ex-wives is backing up all the claims Katt made about Steve on the podcast, which has gone really viral. Steve Harvey may have to start looking out for other career opportunities because his ex-wife, Mary Harvey, has exposed all of the lies he built his comedy and talk show career on. Or can he try to survive with the millions of dollars he has stacked up over the decades? Well, you just need to watch this video till the end to find out more about the popular Family Feud host's lies. Katt Williams proved to the world in the recent Club Shay Shay podcast that he is really done with all the sob stories celebrities in Hollywood try to feed the public to get their sympathy. And Katt didn't hesitate to put it out that Steve has been telling lies about a lot of things, but most especially his grass to grace story. Yeah, Steve didn't have it easy while he was coming up as a comedian. Still, Katt revealed that Steve's famous story of crashing in a car due to inability to afford an apartment was a big lie. Katt told Shannon that was his story, and of course, his reality back then because he was really broke. But Steve had been going around for years talking about it.
Telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man.
Katt claiming the story has been going on for too long wasn't a lie. If you are a real Steve Harvey fan, you'd have heard Steve talk about that particular story uncountable times.
Used to spend the night in hotel parking lots. What was I gonna do? I ain't had nowhere to stay, so I lived in the car. I had $35. And I said, come on, God, man, I've been trying to make this dream come true. You done left me out here like.
Maybe Steve is just constantly trying to motivate young people with this story. Or he is still trying to gain some sympathy from his audience. We may never know. Katt also accused Steve of other things, including his jokes. Katt claims Steve would show up to his shows and had him thinking he was out to support him, but instead, he was putting his ears to work to get some of Katt's jokes documented that he would put to use some other time for his shows. Well, Steve was not stealing only Katt's jokes. He was doing it to other comedians too, like Mark Curry.
And then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business, and it's a man unit. Then you ask him, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same that hated on Bernie with this same thing.
Steve had to do anything possible to make a name for himself too, but that seemed desperate and really inconsiderate. Katt calling Steve a thief and calling him out to stop parading himself as someone who couldn't afford even one square meal got more exciting and believable, as Steve's ex-wife, Mary Harvey, revealed that Katt was actually spilling the truth. Oh yeah, she can only be the person to solidify Katt's claims, because she was the wife present in Steve's life when he claimed all of these were happening to him. Mary was married to Steve from 1996 to 2005, and the early part of their marriage was when these things were quite sour for the comedian. Mary may be tagged as the bitter ex, because it always seemed like she had not moved on with her life, but it would almost be impossible for anyone to move on. 2, because Steve bled Mary dry.
He left. He just left, walked out the door. Once he realized that I was going to divorce him, he walked out the door. He had a shoulder bag.
Let's get into how the marriage abruptly went from sweet and romantic to sour and hateful. Just like any other woman, Mary fell in love with the man who approached her and swept her off her feet. But little did she know that she would regret the decision her whole life. Mary couldn't be tagged as a woman after Steve's money because he had nothing to offer at that time. Instead, Mary was the one in the relationship with something to contribute financially. Mary always supported Steve's upcoming career in any way she could. And sooner than expected, his career started coming together piece by piece. But he wasn't making enough. Mary couldn't help but help her man think further about expanding his reach and making more money. She hinted to him the advice of having his comedy club, but that required some real cash that Steve didn't have back then. Mary must have thought whatever belonged to her also belonged to her husband, and vice versa. But her thoughts were so wrong. She invested her life savings into Steve's career, dropping about $250,000 to fund Steve's comedy club, and turned out to be a real success. Although sadly, not for both of them, only for Steve Harvey. The comedy club that Mary had helped Steve set up wasn't only in terms of finances, but also in the physical aspect, as she oversaw the interior designs and ways things should be carried out to ensure appropriate returns and profits. Shortly after Steve's breakthrough, he and Mary's marriage started having cracks as he cheated on her with several women, including his present wife, Marjorie Harvey, allegedly.
When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing.
Steve started treating Mary like she was an option, and he was the prize. Oh well, he seemed to be the prize because of his then newly acquired wealth and his getting attention from many women. Steve went on to break a few more boundaries in his career and became unstoppable. Still, his marriage was already in disarray at that time. It didn't stop him from living his life, but Mary couldn't say the same.
All the emails and the text messages and the different things that I was finding out about, I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it.
Soon enough, Steve felt Mary was no good to him anymore, and he divorced her, leaving Mary in a heartbroken and empty pocket state. Their divorce was finalized in 2005, and the court ordered Steve to pay Mary's divorce settlements. Steve wasn't ready to let a dime out of his pocket for such a cause because the comedian allegedly didn't pay the settlement. Only Steve knew how he got away with that. If you think that was the worst Steve could do to Mary, then you are in for a ride. After Mary had lost everything, including her husband, money, business, and even her car, Steve wrecked her entirely, as he also took away her only child that they shared in the marriage. Mary wanted custody of their son, Winton, thinking she could seek solace in having him close to her side while going through the challenging period. But Steve wasn't interested in giving her a break. While Steve had more than enough money to employ competent attorneys to help him get custody of Winton, Mary couldn't do the same, as she was too broke to live, talk less of being able to afford a lawyer or a custody lawsuit. The legal battle of any of them ending up with a child in their care didn't last for long, as Mary was incapacitated to stretch it. Steve ended up getting the sole custody of Winton, who was just a minor at the time and couldn't make any decision to pick the parent he wanted. Steve still wasn't done with Mary, as she claimed the comedian had not only taken her son away, but also turned him away from her. Somehow, Mary had become an estranged mother to her son, due to Steve allegedly bad-mouthing her and describing her as the villain in the story to their son. This must have really been devastating to Mary, and if only she could do anything to turn back the hands of time, she wouldn't miss the opportunity for anything in the world. But yeah, it's not possible. Mary wouldn't lose her motherly instinct just because her son isn't in her care. She once complained to the police about how Steve terribly hit their child because his school called and informed Steve about how he didn't turn out in homework. Steve did hit Winton in an unpleasant manner, which left scars on his body. But Steve got away without being charged after the investigation conducted was dropped due to lack of evidence that Steve meant no harm to their child. Again, Mary was left helpless and didn't have any way of getting close to her son.
Where did I meet you?
Oh,
First time we met?
Memphis,
Where?
at a comedy club.
Okay.
While Steve is enjoying his life with his new family after doing Mary dirty, Mary is still trying to figure out how to navigate her path in life. So now that Katt Williams is calling Steve Harvey out for the dirty little secrets he used to get famous, it's only right for Mary Harvey to back him up really strong till the end. Do you think Mary Harvey deserves to be heard and given a chance to back up anyone who comes up with claims that could bring Steve's empire down? Or should Mary stay under the covers as she has been doing for quite some time? Let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any celebrity news coming up.